are going to work with the fans. The ladies are going to love it.
This is kind of like your persona now, is like laid
Beach
back
bummy?
beach bum guy.
Now he's Philadelphia. By the way, let me tell you something. He's been back 3 days, I think. And every time because he's used to not having a phone, so it was always just FaceTime. He couldn't call me, and now he's got his phone back. But he's still FaceTiming me. And every time we FaceTime, he must be out for runs or walks in the neighborhood. Are you like the favorite son of your neighborhood? Literally, you can't go 5 steps without. It's like, hey, how you doing? No, I'm back. I'm only here for a little while. Hey, how are you? Hey, Charlie. Hey, pal. Hey. You're like the mayor of Philly.
I guess I'm likable. This is on record. So this is nice. This is the behind the scenes of the stuff that we talk about.
Dude, I didn't know we were recording, but that's cool. It's good stuff.
I didn't know either.
You didn't know either.
Click the button. So LukaNation.
By the way, get this on YouTube, guys. Get this episode. He's got a haircut. He's got a haircut. He's going to a wedding later. I don't know if he's going solo to a wedding. I don't know if he's going to do the whole wedding crasher type thing. I don't know what's going down. I don't know. He's got a date. Maybe we'll get into that in this episode. You never know.
Single cage.
Yes.
Would you rather go with a date or would you rather go single? Solo or with a date?
There really has not been a single cage for decades. So it's a difficult question. I mean, it's. I never had to go to a wedding single. Ever.
What a guy.
But if I had the chance, listen, I'd go boom boom with the bridesmaids. I just got called an idiot.
Welcome back to another episode of Luka's Tiger and Bronzo Mine. This is going to be a fun one, guys. Wow. We're going to talk about a few things. It's going to be a little bit on the shorter end, but I think there's going to be a ton of value here. Tomorrow, guys, just keep an eye on this. I think we got to bring back a Coffee with Cage episode. It's a fan favorite, and the people are asking. So I'm going to bring back a Coffee and Cage episode. One more announcement, guys. So I'm back home for the week. You know that. I was going through some of my old stuff, and I don't know if you remember, but Gary, when I was working at Gary's, he did this like limited shirt run. Okay, I was going through my old stuff, and I found a shirt that I got. It was numbered 421 out of 500. So we're just doing a fun little giveaway. If you guys want to be included, just make a comment. You know, one thing that you've learned from Gary's content, we're going to randomly pick one of you, and I'm going to ship the shirt out on Monday night.
Dude, I'm not eligible, right? That was my comment because that shirt is cool. I saw that post. I was like, you said, yeah, I'm thinking about giving something away. And I was like, that was not what I was expecting. It's like a hand number, like a limited number shirt. You know, those things, they sell for pretty good money when Gary does those weird things. It's got like the mug life, right?
Yep, 500 ever made.
That's cool. And he's getting back to that. I think he did a yard sale thing today. I saw him like posting videos or books or, you know, whatever he bought for 27 cents and selling them on eBay for $5. Back to that. Back to the flip life. So it's a timely giveaway. But that's cool. That's on the podcast, Lucas Tigers and Bronze Instagram page, guys. Check that one out.
And guys, we're getting way more comments on our YouTube channel. We've had discussions and stuff. We value all of the comments, both positive and negative. You know, if you have, you know, if you don't love the guest or you want to say something, we welcome it all. And we've been getting a ton of interesting comments. So honestly, I love them. I want them to keep going. Cage, I don't know.
Speak for yourself. I don't like negative comments. It makes me sad. It makes me want to cry.
Well, they're not negative about us. They're negative. I'll let people go and explore on their own. But let's get into the show. Let me ask you something.
Mm-hmm.
So we've always talked about grading companies as graders versus market makers. So grading company, they authenticate and they grade a card. A market maker, oftentimes market makers buy back their own securities. They own some securities to control supply and demand of the marketplace.
Mm-hmm.
No specific company involved, but do you think, this is completely speculative, do you think grading companies buy back their cards, buy back some of their graded cards, some of their higher-end cards, and do you think that's unethical if they do?
I don't think the companies buy them back at all. I don't think like PSA Collectors Universe buys PSA graded cards at all. There may be people who work there who buy cards that are graded by PSA. You know, there may be people who, you know, who are employees who you know, buy the cards on the secondary market. I'm sure. I mean, you know, it would be ridiculous, I think, to think that, you know, you're going to have an employee pool that you're gonna be able to pull that people who aren't into cards and don't have collections and that kind of stuff. So, but as a company, like stock buybacks you're talking about, like I don't think PSA buys their own stuff back. I don't think Beckett buys their own stuff back. The card companies do. They actually have buyback cards. Like they'll buy back on the secondary market cards and then get them autographed or reinsert them in packs. I know Topps was doing it for a while. They're buying like vintage cards on the secondary market and inserting them in packs. I'm trying to think of other examples, but there are like buyback autographs, of I know A-Rod has them or Jeter has them where, you have like the rookie cards or Topps cards and they'll reinsert them 10 years later with an autograph on it. Those kind of things. But, well, you think PSA buys this stuff back?
Well, no, I would just, I'm not sure. It's more of a discussion because I always love comparing different industries. But if you look at a market maker like E-Trade, for example, at times they are holding some securities on the books, and they're using that a little small pool of assets to control supply and demand. So, for example, let's say they've graded a lot of one type of card. They may not want to release all of them at once, or they may want to buy some back and hold them on their books. I know they do that in the financial services and equity space. I'm curious, and I know these are completely different industries. I was just curious your take as someone who's watched this industry for a long time.
Well, I mean, it's difficult to do it because people are able to mix cards in orders. You know what I mean? So it doesn't all have to be the same type of stuff. But I think you're probably right? I mean, if you were able to right now look at like the complete through dates, I know they're not the same complete through dates for Pokemon Modern, Ultra Modern, Vintage. You know what I mean? So just in that regard, yes, they can probably limit the amount of like Ultra Modern returns and slow that back and not bring that out as quickly, I guess, as the other ones. But it's difficult to do unless they found an order that had 100 Zion Prisms and just said, all right, we're not holding it. We're holding this for an extra month.
Yep.
I don't know that they go that in depth into it, but I guess listen, anything's possible. We've talked about it. Who knows what goes on behind closed doors there?
I'm personally curious, and I imagine a few other people in our audience are as well. Let me ask one more question about grading, and we're going to move into talk a little NBA, okay?
Sure.
What do you think 12 months from now we're going to look back and say about PSA and the grading companies? What do you think is going to change in the landscape?
Can I tell you what I hope? Right?
Yep.
I can tell you what I hope. What I hope is that people are back up to full capacity. People are waiting a year for cards is a thing of the past. I think that we're still going to have several grading companies. I think probably like a half dozen is probably a good number a year from now. Yeah, I mean, from PSA, I really hope that PSA is back to like value grading again. I hope that there's still a bulk sub type of thing, and maybe there's not as much demand for it as there was last year because prices have come down a little bit, and the base craze, as people want to call it, is sort of over. You're probably not going to get as many people trying to grade a Cam Reddish Instant Impact card. Or a Ty Jerome Luck of the Lottery, which he wasn't even in the lottery, so that card doesn't exist. But people still will try to grade it. So yeah, that kind of stuff, right? So, yeah, I mean, I hope a year from now that we're kind of back to some semblance of pricing normalcy, return time normalcy, and again, hoping that there's some certainty, right? I'm hoping that when you grade with HGA, 10 business days, you're going to be back in 10 business days. 60 business days, be back in 60 business days. And you're going to get it back. You know what the pricing is. If you ask for a custom, you have an idea of what kind of custom is going to be. I hope with PSA, the pricing levels are set within a year, and approximately how long does it take. One of the biggest issues new people coming into the hobby had was it's like, all right, I'm going to send this in with a group sub, or it's a 20-day. Well, I mean, LukaNation ourselves know, we had a 20-day that went in early November, and it's in grading. Right? That's not 20 days. And now you're talking about that's 8 months that the thing got submitted. So, it's a misnomer, I guess, right? It's a 20-day. Forget about the, quote, 45 days that are all sitting there in research and ID. So yeah, I mean, you'd like to have that kind of smoothed out, and if they're doing group subs, again, a little more clarity and transparency on this stuff goes a real long way to keep market participants in and maybe add some. So,
all right. What else is top of mind? I mean, Cam Reddish got some time yesterday.
Top of mind. How about
blowout?
He did. So how about this for top of mind? I'll throw something out there for you, and you could tell me, oh, I don't want to talk about that. I hate him. I believe I saw the stat, and was it 16? Could it possibly be 16? Have they played that many games? I guess the leader in the playoffs right now in 20-point scoring games with 16. Do you know who it is? Who in the playoffs who has 16 playoff games of 20 points or more? I'm pretty sure I saw this as a stat.
It's going to be Reggie Jackson.
No, it's not Reggie Jackson. No.
I was saying that because you can't compare because some players have played a lot more games than others.
Correct. And this person has played more games, right? So
Paul George?
It is Paul George. But he leads far and away. I think the next is 12. You know what I mean? Like Durant, I think, at 11, and Trae Young's up there. Giannis is up there because obviously they're still playing. But I think he had 16 20-point games. And yes, he's played more games and he's still playing. But that means basically he's scoring 20 points almost every game that he's played. And he also, I'll layer on this question, right? Does that matter? And then two, with Kawhi hurt, can you say that for the Clipper franchise, not Blake Griffin, not Kawhi, not Chris Paul, not Corey Maggette, I don't know how deep you want to get into the Clippers list here now. It was Paul George was the star that took them for the first time to that Western Conference Finals. No?
I would love to touch on this.
Please.
I was listening to a podcast. It was Quentin Richardson and Darius Miles, and it's called the Knuckleheads Podcast. It's pretty good. And they were interviewing Kobe Bryant.
So are those guys okay? Do you get the feel that those guys are all right? I asked this for a specific reason. Because
which guy?
Quentin Richardson and Darius Miles. And I asked this for Ian and I open up Panini boxes, just random boxes. We hope for great autos. We hope for Zion. We hope for LeBron. Well, we're not going to get LeBron. We hope for a Zion auto. We hope for, Luka auto. We hope for, Giannis auto. And we seem to always get Quentin Richardson and Darius Miles auto. The last box we got, I got a Darius Miles auto, like a hoop signature. It's not. I don't even think I put it in a penny sleeve. You know what I mean? And I think he might have even was Darius Miles was he a Johnny? Was he a St. John's player? Did he go to St. John's? I don't know. He was one of those guys that was a high school straight, or he was gonna go to St. John. I don't remember the story. But point being, if I'm getting them in Panini boxes, it means that they're hanging out at Panini, signing stuff and trying to scrape some extra cash. Because Quentin Richardson and Darius Miles, they haven't played in a while, and now you're telling me they got a podcast. So I'm just hoping that they're not. You're not at the local OTB looking for winning tickets that people put on the floor by mistake. Did they sound all right? They sound like they're doing okay, those two?
They're doing great. I like Quentin Richardson as a player, actually. No, they're doing great, and it's a good podcast. But I'll tell you, they interviewed Kobe, and they asked him the question. They said, Kobe, there are a lot of guys in the NBA that could put up 20 and 30. But something that was different about you is when you got to 30, when you got to 40, when you got to 50, when you got to 60, it looked like you were just going to keep going. It looked like nothing wanted to stop you. My thing with Paul George, I don't even think it's my thing. I like Paul George. I think what the collective investor market sees in Paul George is that he doesn't have a killer instinct. So I do agree. He has 20 points of 16 games of 20 points or more. But I'm curious, how many games does he have 40 points or more? Right?
Probably none. Yeah.
That step on their throat, he has the potential. He really has the game where he could go off for 50 and 60. His career high is 48. And I think we collectively want to see that killer instinct. We want to see someone dominate and win the game on their own. We love when players win with a team, but we also love when players have that individual performance like Trae Young did, that 48-point, 11 assist, 7 rebound game where he basically put his team on his back and got them the W. I don't think we've seen that with Paul George. He's a great player, but sometimes he stops. He doesn't have the killer instinct. And I don't think this is necessarily my words. I think the market has seen that, and I think that's why they don't necessarily price him as a superstar.
Does he also suffer because when's his rookie?
2010, 2011, I believe. 2000, Paul George, I think he's 2010.
Right. So what's the big 2010 set?
2010.
You know,
It
like
was like
what's the big set, right?
prestigious.
Right. So
I
does
actually
he
did that as a
also
player. Remember that?
I know. So does he also suffer in the hobby? I mean, 09, you have Topps Chrome, right? There's that awesome Curry Topps Chrome, you know, that whole year,
Mhm.
right? And if you're 2012, even if you came out in 2011, right? Like Kawhi and Kyrie and those guys, the 2012 Prism is generally, you know, accepted as a rookie card. Not so for Paul George, right? I mean, because he came out in that like tweener thing. Does that also possibly negatively impact him from a hobby perspective?
1,000%. Because he doesn't have a true rookie, right? He was in between the Topps Panini Prism release.
Yep.
Absolutely. At the same time, Cage, his Prism PSA 10 from 2012 has gone up like 2.5x recently.
Yeah. Well, because
So
it's the closest thing you'd have, right? I
Mhm.
mean, you know, you look at 86 Flair, people consider things rookies from like 3 different draft classes in that set, you know. So, you know, I guess that Paul George could you know, potentially be looked at that way, right? But he has other stuff years before.
do you think the star Jordan ever becomes the main Jordan card?
No. No, because the Star Jordan is definitely that's like an you know, you'd call it kind of like an XRC Star Jordan, even though he's wearing his uniform, right? It's not like a main set. That's the other problem with it, right? You know, the 86 was pack pulled. It was a major brand. You know, it's a little different to try to compare, you know, the star rookie cards, which I love. You know, I have one of each. The star card is really nice, but it came in like team bags. So it doesn't really have the same appeal.
I think we'd love to see Paul George go for 50 for 60 in the playoffs.
You think so? You think people are now rooting for him? You think we've got enough pandemic P? You got enough? Because people are real fast.
People are
crap
fickle.
on him.
Fickle, man, they're fickle. But,
People-
but the market changes. Like you do something great. People used to crap on Trae Young, and then he showed out, and now people are like, "Wow, this guy's like the greatest thing since sliced bread."
Yeah, and he disappeared in game 2, though. Was that just like a giveaway game? You want to talk about that? Was that just like the Hawks didn't show up? It was like, all right, we're going to be happy with a split. Like, did they even try? I mean,
If you listen to the NBA on TNT crew, Shaq certainly thought so.
that they
I'm
tried,
I'm.
or he thought that
I
it was a
mean,
giveaway
he
game.
said it's not a big deal. They're going back to Atlanta. It's a 1-1 split. The Hawks are in good shape. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think this is a bad matchup for the Hawks.
I agree, man. We talked about that
I'm-
after game 1, right? We talked about it after game 1. We were saying how Giannis had a good game, but you know, you got the best you were ever going to get out of Trey, also, right? And they just squeaked out a win, right? How's it not demoralizing to the Hawks to get? I mean, Ian was running around here like crazy, going, "They're going to have 80 in the second quarter," you know.
I want to touch on that because I think the reason the biggest adjustment from game 1 to game 2 is they stopped letting Trae Young get into the paint. And they lived and died by the three. And I don't think Trae Young is that great of a three-point shooter. He's an average three-point shooter. Shoots about 35%, right around league average. But his floater and his alley-oop to Clint Capella is, I think, his best weapon in the game. So if you just stop him from getting into paint, which the Bucks are literally their defense is poised to do, that's what they plan to do. You see the difference.
Can I tell you what the difference? The biggest difference I saw: Brooke Lopez actually appeared. Bobby Portis actually they had some physicality to them that wasn't there, right? So Capella and John Collins should not be getting offensive rebounds against Lopez, Giannis, Portis.
Yeah.
Like the Bucks should be having their way on the boards, and it wasn't like that in game 1. And in game 2, what I saw was, you know, more often than not, if Trey was trying to throw an alley oop, Lopez was knocking it back. You know, so that was the biggest difference to me, the interior defense, which of course is exactly what you're talking about with Trey not being able to get in there and just have his way. So
I see this as a 5-game series. I really do. I think the Bucks it's just not.
So you think that's it? You don't think the Hawks win another game?
I talked about this a lot. I think it's matchups. I just don't think that the Hawks are a good matchup for the Bucks. They have to shoot lights out, which they can. If they shoot lights out, this could be a series. But they have to really shoot lights out because they're not going to win on the glass. They're not going to win on the inside. So
how about the other one? Because that's the game tonight, the Clippers series. Where do you see that one going? Because believe it or not, it's 2-1. The Bucks. They're in LA, right? And you know, a lot of people, obviously, you know, we talk about Paul George. You know, Clippers could be up 2-1. Last I checked, the Clippers are favored by a point in tonight's game, even though the Suns are at full strength and there is still no Kawhi. Thoughts?
The books know better than I. I've learned that over the years. You know, your heart says this. Your brain says that the Suns. Gut says this Clippers team has come back from 0-2, 2 series in a row. They're gritty, and they do something that you've never seen before. They just throw guards out there. They're just guard after guard after guard after guard. They don't have any big men. Serge Ibaka hasn't played.
Yep.
Their big man is Ivan Zubic. So like it's
That's not his name.
Yes, it is.
Zubac. You just call him Zubic. Yeah, come on now. You're gonna put, next, the Bucks coach Butthole is gonna be trading for Zubic. I mean, come on, that's not his name.
You're right. Ibaka Zubac. I combined his name. Yeah, the Clippers team was praising Ty Lue for making adjustments. Do you think that teams do that? Do you think that teams give game one they almost intentionally, I don't want to say let off the gas, but like this has happened two times in a row. 0-2, 0-2, and then Ty Lue makes adjustments. But if he makes adjustments early on, he gives away his game plan type of thing.
I don't think their game plan, the Clippers, is to go 0-2 and have to win 4 of the next 5 games to get out of the series.
1,000%.
I think that would be.
Let me clarify.
I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
I don't want LukaNation to think I'm an idiot. Like in both of the series previously, they didn't play Terrence Mann in the first few games. They played him like no minutes. And then they went down 0-2 and they're like, oh, we need energy. We're going to bring Terrence Mann off the bench. And we saw what he could do. They've done that continuously.
So I don't know whether you praise Ty Lue for his in-game changes, his response to the early games of the series changes, or if you smack him down a little bit for not being able to have a better game plan in game 1/game 2 to actually win one of those games going in. But yeah, I mean, if the question is, do people pull punches in the beginning because then they can have, something that the other team hasn't seen? Sure. Whether it's a trick play, like trick play, or, a guy who was on the bench and you're like, where'd this guy come from? Of course, teams definitely do that. That's our secret weapon. But, if Terrence Mann's the difference, why not get him in there game 1 and just win game 1,
I'm curious too, but I'm going to go with my gut. I think Clippers tie this up. I think this is going to be an interesting series.
I think Clippers win tonight too. And you know what? It'd be nice if we got that Paul George 50-point game for you too. Because you're asking for it.
I mean, he has all the tools. He's smooth. He could play make. He has a mid-range game. He could get to the cup. He could finish both hands. And he has a good three-point shot. I'm surprised his career high is 48, like just watching his game. And he played in Indiana too. And he played at Oklahoma City with Westbrook. I would think looking at his game, he could be he could have a few games of 40 points or more, especially on a team without Kawhi.
Yep.
So let's get
where's the rest of the offense coming from? Nowhere.
But you could also praise him for being a team player. I don't know. I think what's cool about this playoff is we're all kind of analyzing in real time. What's going to be cool is like August looking back and being like, huh, these guys really made a name for themselves. These guys are kind of busts. So mind if I get into my play, Cage?
No. You're not allowed. No play.
I have two plays, both soccer plays. Euros are going on, and I've already previewed, guys. Next year, what's happening, Cage?
World Cup.
And we're looking at all the spotlight right now is on European teams. But right now, there's a tournament going on, Copa America. And that's the best Latin American teams. And some of the best players in the world are Latin American players. And one of them is a guy who we all know, but he's a little bit out of sight, out of mind. That's Neymar. Okay? And I was looking at his cards, and his Prism PSA 10 from 2014 is a $200 card. Low pop card, really cool card. And I think he's out of sight, out of mind. But I think if you're able to hold this card for a year, I think Brazil makes a really solid run. And I think Neymar has a huge tournament next year. He scores quite a few goals, assists. He's going to be in the spotlight. I think that card realistically has a chance to be an $1,000 card. I really do. Because you're getting it at the bottom of a market right now that's been sold off. Guy that's not really being talked about right now. Mm-hmm. that has potential to absolutely boom and be the world player of the year next year in the tournament. Like he has that potential, and Brazil's always going to be contending. So I think the card is going to be way more expensive before the games, before the tournament even starts. You could play no risk at all and sell it into strength, or you could wait if you're a believer in Brazil. I think it's a really, really cool play. I think you're getting it cheap. It's a Prism base card, but it's not like the other base cards because there's a very, very, very little supply of the 2014 Prism. And his PSA 10 just ended on auction. I'm looking at it now. 2014 Panini Prism World Cup, Neymar Jr. Gem Mint PSA 10 just ended for $204. That's my play. I'm going to give you guys a little fun one to just go with it. There's an awesome set. It's the 2006 Panini World Cup set. And if you go and look at that set, there's first off, it's a beautiful card, like one of the nicest cards. I'm actually going to pull it up here on a screen share. Okay, Cage?
Yep, please.
And if you guys remember, anyone who's got into soccer, not the last year they've got into it, maybe 2000, there's legends of the game. And look at this Drogba card. It's a nice card, isn't it, Cage? Panini,
yeah, it's cool looking.
Panini label.
Different.
How would you pronounce that? Cote d'Ivoire. It's Ivory Coast.
I'm not even going to try. Cote d'Ivoire.
Cote d'Ivoire. And it's
DVR, like a TiVo? DVR.
Yep.
Cote d'Ivoire.
Coat your DVR.
I like it.
And it's 145 or best offer. So, and you don't have to go Drogba. I love Drogba. I love that Chelsea team. Mikel Essien is in that set. You've got the real Ronaldo's in that set. You've got Ronaldinho. You've got so many amazing players from 2006. The list goes on, and that's a cool card. That's a cool card, and that's a card that wasn't graded a lot, so you could actually buy it in raw condition. So those are my two plays: Neymar Prism PSA 10, the 2014 version, or we go with Cote d'Ivoire. Just kidding, 2006 Panini set from the World Cup. Those are my two plays. I'm really happy with them.
I like it. So I have a play, and it's going to be somebody was mentioning, hey, you buying any baseball cards? Who's buying baseball? Is there anybody worth opening? Is Raw dead? You name it. And you guys know I try to open something with my son every Friday. And, it's baseball season. It's fun to open up some baseball stuff. And this week, my play for you guys, if you're interested, if you want to break something, it's got some cool stuff in it, color. It's something that if it were any other sport would probably be four figures, right? I think a football one was $1,000. The basketball one, I think, is even more than that, way more than that. But because it's not licensed, I paid less than $200 at my LCS for select box, all right? And what's cool about it is, unlike Topps where you get, we open a box, and this is really cool, but it's like one thing you get. See this little like manufactured, baloney thing. In this, you get 2 relics and 2 autos in a box for less than $200. Select baseball. And what's cool about it is you still get what you've come to expect from Select, which is the different levels, concourse level rookies, diamond level, see the cool different like versions of them, and the colored parallels. So here's a Dalton Varsho, the catcher for Arizona. It's blue concourse level. I think it's numbered at 149. This is a guy I really like. I've given him as plays before. We got a rookie Prism Premier level Nate Pearson, pitcher for Toronto. Nice red border.
Is this the first Select release?
No, Select's been around for a while.
With baseball, I mean?
No, they've been doing it for a while. Ian and I opened a box of this last year, which is why we specifically ordered this one this year. And he got a Mike Trout blue. Came back from PSA as a 9. But it's in his collection. It is what it is. But, I mean, cool stuff, right? They don't have the Yankee logo. They'll say New York. But here's like a Davey Garcia rookie. That's a concourse level also. The relics are pretty cool. These, unfortunately, are all white, right? Just no real colors in them. But see, that's like a silver one. It's a big swatch. And so a couple fun little pieces in this, right? You still have what you'd call silvers, right? Hollows. We got Ryan Moncastle, who's a first base big prospect for the Orioles. I mean, it's not a huge card. I think it was like 30, 40, 50 bucks, whatever. This is numbered like a silver, 199, but it's an RPA. You know, like that's a legit cool card, right? Autograph, relic, you name it, Ryan
Do you think people
Mountcastle.
care that it's unlicensed?
I think people do care, and they're worth less, 100%. It's the same thing as like 2012 Prism Baseball. It's awesome, but it's definitely a notch or 3 below the other sports because of it. But like, check this card out we got. This is a Joe Adell like spark plug. So it's an SP, like an SP card with like little lightning bolts and stuff like that. Like, that's a cool looking card. The look of the cards are exactly the same as you would get in your football and your basketball product, but I think the football one's like $1,000. It's less than $200. So, you know, if you're looking to open something baseball wise, we didn't get a huge banger. I mean, if you're a Baltimore fan, we had a great box. I mean, Keegan Aiken is also a pitcher. This is out of $299. That was our 2 autos. You know, normally if you're going to hit 2 Baltimore Oriole autos, you're not doing so good. But I know Ryan Mountcastle. He's actually, you know, he's pretty good. And, you know, did I make money on the box? Not likely. I don't think I did. But we got a ton of rookies. There are cool cards. Look at this. Moonshots. You know, Nelson Cruz. Just cool stuff. Lots of shiny, which is what you're trying to do, especially if you're opening a box with, you know, with a kid. But there are cards in here that I will grade, right? Which is another thing that we're looking for. Like that Joe Adell that I showed here, you know, the spark plugs like the lightning. I will grade that card. That's in good shape. You know, maybe even that Mountcastle. Maybe I'll grade that one as well. I mean, maybe that Joe Adell is one that I send to hybrid, you know, and put like a, you know, like a custom, like a color match, like ask them to do like lightning bolts around it, you know, like it's a spark plug card, something like that, red and black, would look kind of cool. So I like it because I gotta tell you, I've opened countless Topps boxes now with Ian, and a hobby Topps box, you're not even guaranteed to get 1 auto. You know, you're paying $100-something for just a regular box, a hobby, and you know, we just get a whole bunch of base cards. We opened one also as part of this. The coolest card we got, it was a short print of Buster Posey, which I have a feeling if you look back on, this will be one of those. If you want like a sneaky little play, if you're a San Francisco Giants fan or a Buster Posey fan, check out that card because that is the quintessential 2021. See, he's got his mask on. They got him wearing a mask in the SP. So, you know, a little a nod to COVID card there. So that's, you know, that's a pretty cool one as well. But yeah, I mean, that my play on it is if you're looking to do some, you know, some ripping and you know, you don't mind, it's not something where you're looking to like, you could make money on this. You 100% can. I mean, you get yourself an RPA, one of the top guys. You know, you can do fine on it. But if you just want to have a fun rip and it's not going to break the bank, you can't really beat this select baseball product.
Any final words? I'm off to the wedding.
No, man. Listen, enjoy the wedding. Bridesmaids usually are a good target, I think. You know, because they're sitting there saying, "How come it wasn't me?" You know. You know, I'm trying to think of like, you know, what kind of strategy.
Hanging on the counter.
It wasn't me. Exactly. So is the bride, are you on the bride side or on the groom side?
Bride side.
You're the bride side.
We're friends with both. Actually, funny, the groom is a good friend. He was a sneaker flipper.
Okay.
Good kid. His name's Andrew too.
And he's no longer a sneaker flipper?
It got hard, man. It got hard to get inventory.
And did he meet his bride to be here? His bride flipping sneakers?
Yes, flipping sneakers. They were in
They were at like a yard sale together. They were at like a Finish Line or like Foot Locker or something. That's cool. Well, listen, enjoy. I'm glad you're back. You know, stateside. Enjoy the wedding. I'm trying to think. Very important question.
Yes.
All right, because you got to know the answer to this. This is you got to be prepared for. You ready?
I'm always ready.
Are you going to go with the Chilean sea bass or the chicken piccata?
Sea bass.
Sea bass. There you go. A little bit of sea bass. You're a fish guy. You're a healthy eater. You know, I mean, if you're nice enough to.
You guys know Keith doesn't like fish.
I'm not a fish eater. And you know, I read an article.
What a lunatic comment.
I read an article this week. I'm not saying I'm not saying this is true or false or whatever it is. And this is not fish. I know you mean like a nice fancy branzino. I know you mean like a nice piece of fish. Plus,
I love pan-seared salmon and those iron skillet. Love it.
So the biggest fish that I would say I was a fish eater. The fish that I would eat the most was when it was on sale, because they were trying to get rid of old stock, and you can get like a 6-inch for like $1.99 special. I would get the Subway tuna sandwich, right? So tuna salad sandwich from Subway. But I read an article this week that said somebody did a test on it and they found no tuna DNA in the Subway tuna fish.
Dude.
So what is that? What have I been eating?
Well, what did they find in there?
What have I, so I read that to Ian, and he's like, "You've been eating toenails," and I'm like, "No, it's not toenails, dude. I don't know what it is, but I don't think it's
LukaNation Fit Fam. There you guys have it. This whole time we thought Subway tuna was an alternative, but nope.
It is an alternate. It's an alternate to tuna. Clearly, is what they're saying. I don't know. It's not actually tuna fish. I don't know what it is, but yeah, man. So enjoy the wedding. Big announcements coming out from LukaNation in the coming week or so. We got some stuff. We got some stuff in the hopper for you guys. So we'll leave it out there. We'll leave you hanging, and keep the messages coming. I got a text today from somebody who originally was an Instagram message, and got so many questions. You might as well just give the phone number about like, hey, how much should I pay for this card? That kind of stuff. And I love it because it lets me do research. It lets me have some fun and check out other cards that I would not have, otherwise thought about. And that's always fun for me. So, guys, if you have questions, reach out.
We'll literally answer every question, every text. We're as available as we can be. And a lot of the announcements and the partnerships that we've had, that we've been able to get, are because of our community. So, like, I know our community is growing, and it's, a fraction of what it'll be in 5 and 10 years. But what I think our partners love about us is how engaged our community is. How much people are talking in all of our Instagram groups, how much you guys comment. So please, if you guys can, it means the world to us. We try to engage and respond to every comment, every DM, every text. A lot of the success we've had this year is a true testament to your guys' support of what we do. And we'll always keep this content free. That was our goal from day one. We didn't want to charge for content. We didn't think it was fair to sell plays or picks or anything like that, because that's just not our vibe. That's not what we wanted to do. And you guys answered the call, because everything that we've been able to achieve is through word of mouth and you guys.
Yep, 100%. So like we say, tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell your enemies, tell them all. We'll talk to you soon, guys. And Coffee with Cage tomorrow.
Let's do it. I have a grad party that I'm going to for the family, but we're going to set it up. It might be a little earlier in the day, like right around 1 or 2 p.m. Eastern.
Whatever. Let's do it.